All right, shalom everyone, and peace of the Lord to all of you. I hope you can hear me very well. Uh, I went up in the morning very early, so I can go live, with those who in such a time they don't see me for some time. So for me now, it's already 4 a.m. in the morning, 4:09. And actually, I woke up earlier because even I have to hook up my computer and etc. Because yesterday I took. Here we go. We have alarm again. You hear it? The shitting started again. Yeah. Anyway, so I had to hook up my stuff again. I took my computer with me to the seminar. And yesterday we have a very nice seminar, even though it's not the way I want it to be. Um, uh, like I don't know, like always, those churches they prefer time over the interest. Let us say we have a very important topic, and then they set time and they say, okay, we will do from now, like from this time to this time, and then you end in 2 hours, and the 2 hours, for our topic is nothing. However, the seminar was very good as in general, but for me, I would like to have something, a full meal, not fast food. All right. Yeah. So anyway, we are in Discord live. So if there's any Abdul, he think, what happened. If you go to Patreon, you will see many saying to me, Christian, there is a Abdul want to debate you in Discord. Okay, how come when I go to Discord and I stay for hours, they don't show up? Where are they, the Abdul? You know, hmm? Where are they? Well, we are waiting. Here we go. If you bring your Quran, and let us see how, I mean, there's millions of people speak about Islam in YouTube and TikTok, but it's not a secret that 99% of those who speak about Islam in YouTube, uh, even the one who speak against Islam, they are ignorant. They don't know much about Islam. The Muslims do not know much about Islam, so why anyone else would know? You know, like find me one Muslim, just one. He knows what Islam is about. If you check all the videos on YouTube, you will see how laughable, stupid the conversation is. Do we have any Muslims from the audience? He can tell us what Islam is about. You ask David Wood, he will say it means submission. This is not what Islam is about. First of all, submission is not exist in the whole Quran. Secondly, uh, submit to what? Oh, to God. Or who is your God? You don't even know who's your God. If there's any Muslim knows who's Allah, Allah himself do not know who's Allah. It's just a stupid cult. They have a name taken from previous nations. This is not an Arabian name. This is why they do not even know what the word Allah mean. Like, can you find me one single Muslim knows what Allah mean? Just one. Who is a Muslim have the courage to tell us what Allah mean? Just to show you how stupid this garbage cult is. They don't even know what Allah mean. Any Muslim want to prove me wrong? Who is a Muslim would like to prove me wrong? There is a single ustad from Indonesia can tell us what the word Allah mean and what language is that? Is that Arabic? So we have a prophet. His name is Muhammad. Okay, Muhammad, he prophesied what? He prophesied Trump will win the election. After he won the election, hmm? Do we have any Muslim to tell us about his God Allah and his prophet Muhammad? Ignorant. ignorant, and cowards. They use violence because they do not have answers. In fact, all cowards in the world, they use violence because they don't have answer. You know, like how I can refute him, I cannot, so I have to use my hand. Maybe I can shut him up. He's exposing me. Any Abdul? I just came for the Abdul. Where is the Abduls want to debate me in Discord? We are in Discord, waiting for you. Where is your Ustaz? Shish kebab, Indonesia. I mean, how stupid you are to believe in God. He will give you, like today in the seminar, I have a translator next to me. He's a very nice guy, you know, and I told him, somebody asked me, you know, a question, so I told him, imagine that Muhammad, he promised the men in heaven endless. I did not even use the word penis. I said the private part. The guy, he looked at me, he said, I don't know how to translate that. I have no idea how to translate. How I can. And then he said to me, our church is very conservative. We can't say that here. I said, okay, just say it somehow, like, you know, somehow. Well, yeah. Endless penis. That's your God. Like, what about 6 foot? So they have big mouth. They are violent, aggressive, and they are stupid. And then they claim that they believe in monotheism. And the second you ask them what is monotheism in Islam, they say Tawheed. You either Tawheed mean unification. So you believe in monotheism of unity. Like, are you like person believe in Trinity like the Christians? They say no, Trinity is wrong, false. Okay, so why you are using the word Tawheed? Go ahead and make for me one sentence using the word Tawheed, and you will find yourself look stupid. Because this is what Tawheed mean. Tawheed mean unification. You don't unify someone, he is already one. And Abdul, every single thing the Muslim they teach about the religion is false and ignorant and stupid. Any Muslim want to prove me wrong? I came here to challenge you. Indonesian, especially where is the Indonesian Ustaz? Huh? Why Allah chose Prophet Muhammad? Sound interesting. I want to see.
Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose Prophet Isa to kill the Dajjal? First, the cross we have seen so far is not the Prophet Isa. In fact, God lifted him up to heaven, and it was someone who looked like him who was.
Look at this, guys. Look, nice story. The one you see in the cross, brother, sister, the one in the cross was not Isa. The real Isa was in heaven, but the fake Isa was in the cross. So the Christian they thought that the fake Isa is the real Isa, so the real Isa is not the same Isa as the fake Isa. So fake Isa took over the real Isa, so they thought him that he was killed. So this is why the Quran said to us that the fake Isa was killed, but then the real Isa. You stupid idiot. So someone looked like Isa was in the cross, look like who make it? Allah make him look like. Is that a cartoon? This is not the real Isa, brother. Okay, was Muhammad the real Muhammad or it was fake Muhammad? I mean, look, ya Allah, your God, Allah, he cloned everybody. How we can trust that Muhammad is Muhammad? Huh? How we can trust that Aisha was the real Aisha, not the fake Aisha? How we can trust that Jibreel, actually Jibreel, he came, you know, the shaitan, he came to Muhammad in the image of Jibreel. Can you believe it? Everybody cloned everybody in Islam. So Allah, he cloned Jibreel, make him look like Dahya al-Kalbi, and I can show the reference. And then shaitan, he cloned Jibreel. Uh-oh. And then Allah, he cloned Jesus. Okay. It's a clone religion. Grimp, shapeshifters. Do we have any Abdul? So this is not the real Isa, brother? So Allah, he deceived us, huh? He made us think that the one who was in the cross. By the way, who is Isa? I mean, where do you get this name? Idiot. And why Allah he chose Isa to kill the Dajjal? Tell us.
Crucified. Second, the Prophet Isa was given a long life and
And what happened to his face here? Like he is, is that a laser? The Muslim, they have a very funny, supposedly they are against pictures. You have the whole picture. I mean, is it only the face now the problem? Like you have hands, you have, they don't show you the face. Haram, brother, haram, haram. What a stupid idiot cult. I mean, you have to be a certified idiot to be a Muslim. Hmm? So now the face is not, and there's light there, flashlight. I thought all images are haram. All images are haram, yet they go and kiss a black stone, and the black stone is a vagina. I mean, don't take me wrong, there's a lot of men in this earth, they kiss vaginas every day. But they don't do it because it is sent by Allah. Hello? Vagina kisser? Prove me wrong. And they say to you, Islam is against idolatry. And then they kiss a stone, and the stone erase their sin. And we believe in one God, and we go in circle around the Kaaba. And if we touch the black stone and the Yemeni corner, it erases our sin. I like that. Man, I will do sin every day. I go touch the black stone. By the way, how I touch it? Like, is it okay if I touch it with my butt? Butt touching? Like, it doesn't say you touch it with your hand, remember? So you can touch it with anything. In fact, the Arab before Islam, they used touch it by their vagina and their penises. Is that right? Any Abdul? Where is the Abduls? Abduls are waiting for you, CP, Discord. You want to debate you? Here we go, we are here. Potatoes. Any Muslim? Mayday, mayday. I want to convert to Islam. I want to have a bunch of beautiful, Indonesian Muslim women in my bed. Alhamdulillah, the Satan. He will make me go all over. I not divorce them second day, and then the day after I bring other four. That's why they call those cars 4x4. You know, I mean, you have six-wheelers, you have a 12-wheelers. I mean, you can, Islam, a lot of wheelers. And the funny Muhammad, his wheeler was not working. So he invoked his God Allah to send him a dish of shish kebab so he can F his wives. And even after they received the dish kebab, still could not do it. Prove me wrong. Can I Abdul? Am I lying, Muslims? Have you ever heard of a prophet of God? His penis is not working. And then he invoked his God and he said, I was the most weak person between all mankind. Man, this is horrible. Between all mankind. Like, what the heck does that mean? Like his penis was fabric? Uh, how to click to call, my Discord is in the front of you. Don't you see Discord? Let me show you Discord. I think I made a barcode. You can scan it and you can come here right away. It's Discord. Where Discord? Uh, ah, I think this is the one, Discord, right? No, I tried this actually. Discord.gg/Christian Prince. But maybe we can have this one here. I'm not sure if this is Discord or Patreon. Let me see. Yeah, this one, Discord. Scan it and you can join me. All right. You scan this and you can join in Discord, especially if you are a Muslim. Well, Muslims are needed. Mayday, mayday. Any Abdul? Who is a Mohammed and would like to join me, huh? Where is the debaters? Potatoes? You have no religion. You don't have God. You don't even have a book. What is your book? Hey, Muslim Jew, what is your book? Is the Quran we have in front of us today is your book? No. Prove it. I mean, this is the religion. If you quote for them anything, they say to you, da'if. What da'if mean? They say to da'if mean weak. What does that mean? It's weak. This mean what? It's mean we are lying. So we make books full of lies. Anything is embarrassing. Right away, they attach to it the word weak. And they say to you, Islam is a preserved religion. Okay, is Islam based on the Quran? They say no. All right. So the Hadith with the Quran, they say yes. Okay, is the Hadith preserved? They say no. What about the Quran? Oh, so the Quran is preserved, and then in 2 seconds you will find that the Quran never been preserved. In fact, you never have one. Any Abdul? Shish kebab religion? I mean, even the goat destroy your book. Who is a Muslim want to tell us what's going on? Who is this guy, Muhammad? Is the Quran in Islam? What?
In Islam, the word becomes a book. In Christianity, the word becomes flesh.
Hello,
A
can
lot
you
of
hear
people think
me?
the Quran in Islam is what the Bible is
Can you
in
hear me?
Christianity. I think that the Quran in Islam is what
Hello.
Jesus is in Christianity. And the Gospels are more like the Hadith literature in Islam, which are sort of these reports of
Can you
the
hear me?
sayings and doings of Muhammad, which some...
What? The Bible is like the
Me?
Hadith? Uh, I don't know.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Are you a Muslim? I hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
I hear you. I hear you. Guys, do you hear me in
Just
Discord?
want to make. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Hello, how you doing? How's
I'm
your day?
I'm fine. Your name is Ghulam Ahmed. Are you Ahmadiyya?
Yes, I am. I grew up in not a very religious Christian family. I never really went to church. It was just like a nominal Christian, and then I met an Ahmadiyya girl, and then I got married, and then became an Ahmadi myself.
So you after have sex with the women, you became Ahmadi?
No, not really. I
Before
mean, I kind of
you
thought
said
it
to
was
me, you just said to me after you married her, you became Ahmadiyya. So after you have sex with her, you became Ahmadiyya.
not after. No, 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 no. I waited until marriage. We don't do that. No, it's against the
Ah,
religion.
okay, hold on, hold on.
Okay, we waited until
First of
marriage.
all, I want to ask you, who is this Ahmadiyya?
Her name is Fatima.
Ahmadiyya is Fatima?
Yes, yes. We love the Prophet Muhammad just like everybody
What
else.
are
We
you
just
talking
believe that
about?
Ahmed ben
Ahmadiyya is the one who follow Ahmad Mirza Ghulam.
Yeah, yeah. But we also follow Prophet Muhammad.
Okay, Ahmad,
They're
no,
both
no, no,
prophets.
hold on. Ahmad Mirza Ghulam, the one who died because of diarrhea. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So how he claimed to be the Messiah, yet he died because of shit?
How does Jesus claim to be the Messiah when he was crucified?
Because
Tell
he
me.
said, okay, hold on. You see, you are mixing things up. The
You
Messiah,
are mixing
hold
things up.
on, no, hold on. The Messiah, he said, even before there's prophecies about him to be crucified, and the Messiah said, nobody can take me down, I lay down myself. But now you admitted that Ahmad Mirza Ghulam, who he claimed to be the Messiah, but everybody knows that the Messiah, if people they touch his clothing, they will be healed. So how your Messiah die because of shit?
Because Allah wanted to show him to the people that he is humble like everybody else, and that he's human,
Hold on, hold on.
and that he was.
What this have to do with being humble? What does have to do with being
Because
humble?
Allah,
Hold on.
Allah,
He claimed to be the Messiah, and now he died by diarrhea, and then he fell in his shit. He fell over his shit.
you're insulting my
I'm not
Messiah, but
insulting. I'm
anyway.
stating fact. This is your religion. The guy, he have
Yes,
diarrhea.
yes. I mean, this it's
They, they
Allah. You
have.
know,
What do you mean the will of Allah? Hold on. The will of Allah is to make his prophet die and fall over his face in the shit.
yes,
Why?
yes, it
Why?
is.
Why? This is a shit.
I don't know.
This is
Ask
a,
him.
this is
Ask
a this is
Allah.
a
Ask Allah.
this is a very shitty death.
Yes, it is. But
Okay.
I'm an
All
Ahmadi, and
right.
I believe I have
All right.
faith in
So
Ahmed
how
Mirza
he is
Ghulam.
the
He's my Lord and
so
Savior,
how he is
and
the
I pray to Ahmed Mirza Ghulam, and I don't care what you
hold on.
think. I
How
will
he
not return to Christianity.
how he is the Messiah, yet he could not heal himself.
He could, well, this Messiah does not necessarily mean that you have to do miracles.
No, the
I believe
Messiah
that he
mean
spoke
no,
for Allah.
the Messiah mean you have to do miracles because the Messiah himself is a miracle.
Look, listen. So I have heterodox views towards Islam. I believe the Quran is corrupted. I don't think that is true. I don't think that what the Quran you see is
I mean,
real. This
if
is
you
why many
follow
Muslims they hate.
my friend, if you follow somebody die because of his shit, and then you are talking, I believe, you believe in nothing. You believe in shit.
Yes, I do.
You
I believe Ahmed Mirza Ghulam. I believe him.
I
I think
know,
he is the true.
Ahmed Mirza Ghulam,
He loved. Look,
he
I
died.
love his.
You agree, me and you, that he died a shitty death. So you believe in shit. So
Yes,
if shit is
yes.
best example, okay, hold on. This Ahmed Mirza Ghulam, he claimed that he was
Tried
married.
beaten up like an animal by the
He
Romans.
was
The Romans beat up
your Ahmed
like
Mirza
an
Ghulam.
animal.
Is it true that Ahmed Mirza Ghulam is a transgender?
No, I never heard it. I
Okay,
never
I
heard
want you
this.
now to
I
search.
never heard.
I want you to search. Is it true that Ahmed Mirza Ghulam, he claimed that he was married for 3 years and then he became Jesus?
I believe in reincarnation. Yes, I believe in
I just
reincarnation. It's
told you
my
he is a
faith.
transgender. He was married for 3 years and then he became Jesus.
No, that's not transgender. Someone who wants to be a woman because he's not comfortable. He was
Listen.
reincarnated.
He was Mary. Mary is a female. And then he became Jesus. So he was married for 3 years and then he became Jesus. He is a transgender.
I don't care. He's my prophet. I mean, he's
Okay,
my
so
Messiah.
now you keep saying
If
to me,
he
I
isn't,
don't care. So he is a transgender. He was a female. He became a male and then he died because of his shit. And he have zero miracles. So why you follow him?
because he really loved the world. You know, he look.
I love the
I
word too.
believe in this.
I love the
Listen,
word.
listen. Let me finish. Let me speak. Please
Listen.
let me speak.
I love the word. I love baklava. This has have nothing to do with being the Messiah. Are you an idiot? What is love the word? What does that mean? Secondly, what love the word? This guy, he was working for Her Majesty the Queen, and they made him. They are the one who made him.
Yes.
They
Look,
wanted to
Muslim
somebody.
Israel.
Hold
I
on.
support Israel. Listen,
They
I
want.
support Israel. I support
Hold on. This is
Israel.
different. I did not.
And I hate jihad.
I don't get paid by Israel. He was getting paid by the intelligence of England, and they needed people
Can you hear me?
who can recruit Indian people to join the British
Yes.
Army. So they fabricated this
Yes.
guy.
Yes. I am against jihad. I'm against Sunni
He is a
Islam. Genius. Yes.
listen.
Yes.
Did your Ahmad Mirza Ghulam command the Muslims who they are following him to join the British Army? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm proud of that.
All right.
And I'm proud
Okay,
of that.
hold on. Chapter 5, verse number 51. You said to me you believe in the Quran. Did you?
No, I believe the Quran is corrupted. I
Okay,
believe it's corrupted.
is the book
Just
of
like the Bible. The Bible is corrupted. The
is
Quran
the
is
book,
corrupted.
hold on, is the book of Ahmad Mirza Ghulam corrupted?
No.
Okay,
Only the Quran.
can you show me in the book of Ahmad Mirza Ghulam where it says you can serve in the army of the enemies of Allah?
Not in the yes. No, not in the enemies of Allah. But in the enemies of the Sunni Muslims.
No, I'm talking about the enemy of Allah.
Enemies of jihad. You're a
Listen.
jihad.
Don't mix things up. You know, you are fake. I don't think you know what you are
No.
talking about. You don't know what you're. Okay,
I'm an
hold on.
Ahmed. You don't have to like
Hold on.
I'm not
What the
claiming to be Christian.
what the word Ahmed mean?
Ahmed Mirza means I don't know. I mean, I don't speak Arabic.
So this guy,
I don't speak Arabic.
this guy, he don't know. You know, this is the religion of don't know. Ahmad Mirza Ghulam. He died because of shit. He have zero miracle.
Mirza
He
Ghulam
was
didn't speak
working for Her
Arabic.
Majesty the Queen. He get a salary from her. He working for
He was
the
cut.
British intelligence. He is a scam, and then he got exposed by his shit. And then he says to me, "We follow the." So the guy, okay, hold on. The when Muhammad he speak, you said to me the Quran is corrupt, correct?
Yeah, correct. It is.
Okay. So
Unfortunately, it's
how
because of
you
the
know?
Sunnis.
How
They
you
corrupt
know? Hold on. How you know about Ahmad Mirza Ghulam is coming? From,
because I have faith in him.
no, no.
It's like,
From
how do you
where?
know
From
that Jesus
where?
will
Hold
come?
on.
How do you know?
Where?
How do you know
Hold on.
that
Hold
Jesus
on.
will come?
Who told you that there is a guy? He is going to come later. His name is the Messiah. Which book is that?
The Pope of the Caliphate of the
Just don't be
Ahmadiyyas, you
stupid.
know him.
What Pope of the Caliphate? Answer me. What is the name of the book which has told you the prophecies that there is a guy, he will come later, he is the Messiah, and he is going to be Ahmad Mirza Ghulam. Which book?
Hello, I can't hear you. So sorry, you're
No, you
breaking up.
can hear me. You can hear me. But now you have the area. So I'm asking you, which book is the one prophesied to you? Prophesies even to Ahmad Mirza Ghulam that he will come later and he will be the Messiah. Which book is that?
Barahin Ahmadiyya.
No, the Ahmadi is no, you idiot. This book you are talking about is written by Ahmad Mirza Ghulam. I'm talking about the ones who taught you that this guy, he is the Messiah, he will come later. Which book?
Hello?
Uh, now he don't hear me. He played deaf now. Hello, it's me you looking for. He died because of diarrhea. That is a shitty death. Hello, I claim to be sent by God. But this God, he forgot that I will fail in his shade. Hello. He has zero miracle. He could not fix
Sunnis want to
his.
kill you for insulting their prophet. I don't. I respect you for disagreeing with
I
me.
don't
That's a
respect
difference.
you.
I'm
I don't
peaceful.
respect you. I don't respect somebody
Well,
following. I don't
but you're not
respect.
a gentleman. You're not
Listen,
a
this I'm
gentleman.
not
I'm a
gentleman for
gentleman.
sure.
You're
I'm
not.
not gentleman. What gentleman mean? This is stupid word. You see,
Was Jesus Christ
I
not a
don't
gentleman?
respect. I don't respect somebody. Follow somebody. He died because of his shit. Yet he claimed to be the Messiah. You must be a fool, and fool cannot be respected, and they will be sent to hell. Why am I respect you? Because you want to go to hell? Because you are wicked?
I
Follow,
don't believe in hell.
follow a
I don't
wicked man?
believe in hell. The Ahmadiyya, we don't believe in hell. Allah does not is not evil like in your Bible. Your Bible is evil because the true
What?
Quran has
What?
been corrupted.
Okay, hold on, hold on. Okay, listen. You said to me, Ahmadiyya don't believe in hell. You are a big fat liar. Can you show me the reference?
I don't believe in it. We
It's
don't
not up
believe
to
in hell.
you. It's
It's a
not up to
heterodox.
you. Listen,
It's a
listen. Don't
heterodox
waste my
faith.
time. Don't waste my
It's
time.
a
I
heterodox.
said to you, you said to me that Ahmadiyya don't believe in hell. You are a liar. I accuse you to be a liar. Give me the reference
For
says
people
that in
for
Ahmadiyya
people
there is
who
no
don't
hell.
believe, yes, for people who don't believe but are good people. For people who are evil, they go to hell. But like say,
Get out. A second ago, you said to me we don't believe in hell. Don't waste my time. Go spend your diarrhea in a different place. We speak to mature, intelligent people. A second ago, you told me we don't believe in hell. A second after, you said to me, yeah, the one bad one will go to hell. Are you a donkey? What's wrong with people? And who is the stupid woman she married you? Why? There's no men left in this earth? Ahmed Mirza Ghulam. He was shitting all over the place. Once upon a time, his wife, she turned the fan, and the fan was throwing shit everywhere. His bedroom was so beautiful, decorated by shitty art. Brown, sometime yellow, depend in the food. He claimed to be the Messiah, but he never did a miracle. His best friend is a drug dealer, and he drink vodka so the Kaaba go around him. Have you ever heard of somebody like that? I mean, he drink vodka because he don't want to go around the Kaaba. He want the Kaaba to go around him. Vodka, vodka, how you do? Shame on Muhammad, shame on you. You drink vodka, you go around, and the Kaaba will go around you. Vodka, vodka, how do you do? I mean, the stupidity is amazing. I don't believe it. Don't come. I don't know. You see, the one who come to debate me, someone who don't have a career to lose. Imagine if this guy is a sheikh and he's famous. He's dead. That's it. We throw in the garbage container. We want sheikh. Bring us sheikh. Bring us your mullahs, Ahmadiyya, so we can have fun. Diarrhea people. Diarrhea. Idiot. The Messiah. It just, according to Muslims, when he wave his hands, just wave his hands, thousands of people get healed. Just not even touch them. And then he claimed to be the Messiah, this Ahmed Mirza Ghulam scumbag, and he died because of shit. Don't you see that my God, he made your filthy scumbag false Messiah exposed? He does. The same he exposed Muhammad. Muhammad, he told the Muslims, if you eat 7 ajwa, brother, 7 ajwa every day, okay, what will happen? Brother, no black magic and no poison can kill you. Okay, well, what happened to my keyboard? And then Muhammad was infected by black magic and died by poison. Both. Yet he eats 7 ajwa every day in the morning. Brother, he who has morning meal of 7, be careful, brother, be careful, 7, not 6, not 8, brother. We have to be careful, brother. Okay, the one who eats a meal of 7 ajwa, 7 date fruit, will not suffer from any harm that day through poison or magic. Bingo. Period. 7 ajwa. And then the Prophet, when he is dying, oh Aisha, the poison is cutting my artery. Aisha, what the heck? Potato, what happened to the 7 ajwa? What happened? Do we have any Muslim would like to defend his religion? The 7 ajwa God. Who told Muhammad such a amazing power of the ajwa? 7, huh? What about eating 7 cucumber like Aisha? Aisha, her mother, she was stuffing her with a cucumber so she can get. Since when the cucumber make you fat? Man, that's stupid. Cucumber make you fat? How? And Abdul from the cucumber religion. The only religion who certify having sex with the cucumber is Islam, watermelon, all vegetables. I can show you reference. I mean, everybody buy cucumber to have salad except Muslim women. I can show you the reference. Am I lying? I don't know why they call it a cucumber. That is very cumbery. Where is the Muslim who debate me? So I fast for a month and my meal is Ahmed Mirza Ghulam. Mm-hmm. How is my voice coming, guys? You hear me good? See, I wake up very early in the morning so I can go live in this time. So people who live in the state, they can, I don't know, like most of people actually now they are in the state. Do we have anybody here from, like what is the time now in Jakarta? Local time, Indonesia. Ah, it's 8:44. Okay, 8:44 in the morning. Okay, that's good. So we should have some ustaz. Hmm. Thank you guys for the love message. Nobody hate me here. All of you guys love me. Sound fishy. That's not good. Should I announce myself a prophet? The problem, I don't have diarrhea yet. I will check with ChatGPT to see how I can have diarrhea so I can have followers. And then people believe in me, like Ahmed Mirza Ghulam. And I tell my followers, listen, I have a lot of set. They say, no set. So what? We still follow you. What a stupid cult. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what, I mean, you know, this guy with his name, the one who claimed to be the Mahdi. The Mahdi is a fictional person, never exist. And if every few years, actually in the same year, there's many Mahdi. Every year, like there's many 7, 8 Mahdi around the world. They claim to be the Mahdi. Unbelievable. By the way, I'm the Mahdi too. And to start my Mahdi stuff, I have to get some women in my bed. I mean, it's a Mahdi thing, you know? Right? Any Muslim women who want to volunteer to make the Mahdi ready for his time? Start with the bedroom. Hmm? What a bunch of idiots. All of those names is about sex and money. All of them. And Muhammad is no different. Sex and money. You know, our Lord, he said, from their fruits, you shall know them. Right? Okay. Well, the fruit is clear. They want to sleep with your women and they want your money. All cult leaders, even in some that they claim to be Christians, the motive of most of so-called religious act is one of two or two together. Some they work for the money, some they want both money and sex. At the end of the day, they are connected. So I'm your leader. You have to give me, I'm special, you know, I have a privilege. You know, when the Muslim book says that the prophet, so-called prophet Muhammad, he have 16 privilege, and privilege number 11, if his eyes fall into your wife, which means he like her, the husband must divorce her so the prophet can F her. Isn't it obvious that this guy is a scumbag cult leader? It's obvious. Any Muhammadan would like to join us. If my eye fall over your wife, you must divorce her. Because I'm a prophet of Allah and I have the right to F her. You must be a pimp to follow such a guy. I mean, you must be a man who have no honor because you are willing to give your own wife And your wife, she is willing to open her legs to a strange, wicked man just because he claimed to be a prophet. In fact, the prophet of God should do the opposite. Why you want to take your wife? What kind of a prophet is prophet? You know, in the Bible, when David commits sin, what God did to him? He punished him. He rebuked him. He destroyed actually his kingdom. It's a fact. All cult leaders, they share the same garbage. Sex, money, power. When we speak about Jesus, did Jesus sleep with anybody? No. Did he ask for money from anybody? No. Did he seek power? He washed the feet of his followers. They were all free to follow him or to leave him. He did not force a single person to accept him or to reject him. Zero power, except his own power, which is the power of God. But people around him, they have a free will. Any Muhammadan? So as you see, we came in Discord, and nobody in Discord from the Muslims want to join us. Zero, Abdul. Hey Muslims, I'm prophet too. Let me prophesy for you. Women have semen, they come from their ribs. Actually, this is why I'm not married yet. You know, you take a woman to the bedroom, she take off her clothes, you think she have boobs, they turn to be breast testicles. I mean, how your prophet, he knew that? That is a pure science. Women, they have semen coming from their ribs. They do, huh? And the man, he have semen coming from the backbone. Oh, my backbone is hurting me. Must be the semen. Oh boy. And then we will find in the hadith that Adam, he never have semen. Allah, he hit his shoulder, and Adam, he have children who they are white from the right shoulder. Have you ever heard of a man he have orgasm from his shoulder? So what do you mean, Muslims? When Allah, he hit his shoulder, he was jerking his shoulder? Like your God, Allah never heard about something called balls? So neither the man in the Quran, neither Adam, they have semen coming from their balls. Alarm again. You hear the alarm? Putin is saying hello to us. The shitting started. Any Abdul? Is the sound of the alarm coming or you cannot hear it? Any Muhammadan? I don't know why. Like, is the chat so slow? I'm not sure. It's taking time. You cannot hear it? Okay, let's open the window so you can hear. My microphone is very good. It's you know, it have like an option to cancel any noise. Let's see if you will hear it now. You can hear it? Look like this microphone is wonderful. Because you should be able to hear it, actually. I'm not sure why you cannot. I mean, at least a little bit of it. It's very loud. All right, close the window. It's very chilly outside. All right. Do we have any Abdul? Any Abdul? No Abdul? Yeah, this microphone have a noise suppression, so it make my voice only come. So like, if in case I fart, you know, like Prophet Muhammad, but the different Muhammad have a holy fart. Hmm. Any Muhammadan? When I'm going home? Well, every place is my home. Isn't it? This is God give to us. Go and teach and preach in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All of them, they are home. Any Abdul? Mayday, Mayday. Hmm? Yeah, if somebody is ignorant about Islam, they will line up. We will give you 7 ajwa if you call me. Anyone? Hmm? Any Abdul would like to join us? I like the Quran very much. Anyone? I want to show you how much I like it. Like man, it's so funny. Like, there's a lot of stories in the Quran. It's so funny, man. I mean, it's even written by, even the Pink Panther cannot make such a thing. So if you go in the Quran, as an example, not limited, not limited. Hmm. This is one of my favorite. How Suleiman, he was able to control his flying carpet and the wind. Eh, early technology. Flying carpet, Muslims. By the way, Allah, he gave Suleiman first a flying horse. Suleiman, he got upset. He killed his horse. What an idiot. Then Allah said to him, okay, don't worry. The horse was not good for you. I will give you even something better. Flying carpet. What do you think? CP is wearing a slipper. You could not hear the alarm. You heard the slippers? Are you serious? I mean, you did not hear the alarm of the army and the shilling of Putin, but you heard my slippers? That's weird. Yeah, I was, this place I'm staying in does not have any, it's cold here. and I'm not wearing socks. I'm wearing shorts still. Actually, I'm like Tarzan right now. Usually, if you are here, you will be cold, But for me, I don't, cold doesn't affect me much. So I'm wearing my short, but I have slippers because the floor is naked, and I want to keep my feet clean. Any Abdul? Hmm. They did not hear the alarm of the army, they heard the sleepers. Eh? What we can say. Actually, I hate wearing shoes. Like today in the seminar, I bought a new shoes, the guy, he told me they will hurt you the first 3 days. So I decided not to wear them the first 3 days. I mean, why I want to wear them? The guy, he said to me, they will hurt you only the first 3 days, right? So I said, okay, I will not wear them for the first 3 days, and I wore them today, and they hurt me. He lied to me, no? Yeah. So I was like standing. I told him I need a chair because this, my feet get very hot. Uh, I mean, if I sleep, I cover myself if it's really cold. But most likely my feet, they have to be like out, like like a cartoon. Your feet is coming out funny, like you have to be out of the blanket because always they are hot. So when I wear shoes, my feet burn, literally burn. So I told him I need chair. This is because when you are, if I walk, I'm fine, but if I stand still, they will hurt. So I like to sit down, sit down, sit down, act differently. Remember Mohammed? A Jewish rabbi, he walked by in the time Muhammad was doing a funeral. The Jewish guy, he said, "Oh, Muhammad, this is how we do it." What Muhammad said? Sit down, act differently. And this is how you know he's a scam so easy. Because who cares if this is how they do it or not? How you change the way the prayer is performed just because a guy walking by said to you, this is how we do it. So you were not doing it according to Allah. You were fabricating a prayer. Right? Mm. Mm. What if the guy, he said to you, we have sex with our wife from their vagina? Are you going to say act differently? Huh? Potato. How fast? Right away. Sit down, sit down. He gets scared. Like, "Oh, what the heck? The Jews, they do the same? Oh, they knew now I'm copying them. Let me change it right away. Like, what the heck? So you were doing it wrong when the Jew, he said to you, this is how we do it? Hmm? Potato, clown. I have a video. I want you to react to it. I don't react to videos. Videos react to me. I mean, the world is full of stupid people. What you react to react. If I react about every video in the internet, I will spend the rest of my life reacting. We better focus in shish kebab. Any Abdul? Right? Sit down, act differently. Must be true prophet of God. He changed the prayer in a second. I thought the prayer came to him by Jibreel. Jibreel taught him how to pray. And now the Jewish guy walked by, he says to him, this is how we do it. Muhammad, he scratched his butt. The Jew, he says, this is how we do it. Muhammad, he will say, what? Sit down, scratch it differently. Hmm? Potato. Uh, any Mohammedan? Somebody asking me about the piece of plan of Trump. My friend, this is just an exit for the stupid, those stupid politicians, all of them, you know. They want to find an exit from it because it's causing them trouble. Otherwise, there's no peace and the plan is not even exist. Maybe someone want to make a music video. This is how we do it. Yeah, you can use my voice. This is how we do it. Actually, there's somebody made a video, but this is a few years ago, actually. Uh, it's like I'm calling Zakir Naik, and it's a cartoon. I don't know if you guys saw it. Very funny. Hmm. Are we be cutting Netflix? I mean, do you need to wait to be cut? First of all, why you want to spend your money in something you can have everywhere for free? Secondly, it's a wicked company run by the wicked people. They spend money to make videos and movies about Jesus being a gay. So anyone who buy Netflix, you are supporting the enemy of Christ. And they will pollute your children. They will teach them how to be homosexual. So why you want to have Netflix? What for? What is the reason? There's any reason? I had Netflix in the beginning, you know, like when they started. Uh, I don't have cable. I never, you know, signed for cable or, you know, those companies. And it was cheap, like it was, I think, $7 as a start. They've even send you the CD to your home to watch a movie. So I said, okay, because I would choose the movie I watch, right? Uh, but then this company became they show their real face. They are very wicked. Mm. Like I have Amazon, you know, Amazon Prime, not because of the movies, because of shipping. It's way cheaper. Each time you want to buy something, you have to pay for shipping. So if you have a Prime, you don't pay for shipping. So you get the $100 back very fast. But Prime, they give you free, you know, internet. But I don't sign for it. It comes with the package, you know. And I don't use it anyway. There's a million videos on YouTube to watch, movies for free. But people like to waste their money, or they enjoy the luxury of being rich, maybe. All right, as long as we don't have any Abdul, do we have any question? I don't have Netflix like 2 years because I left T-Mobile. What T-Mobile have to do with Netflix? You know, here I have I got my phone line for 320 grivna, which is 320, 320, $7.80. Very fast internet. very good. Even there's a company that told me that if you pay 300 hryvnia, which is going to be like, you know, maybe $10, you get even your internet at home for with it, like your cell service, your internet for the cell phone, and your internet for your home, all for $10. Yeah, I'm in Ukraine right now. Going to the front line very soon. Actually, I was expecting them to happen today, but you know they need to get security clearance for me from the army. The red line where nobody can go, but I cannot record. You know, there's conditions. I cannot record, and if I want to record, it have to be by permission. You know, like it have to be written permission. Actually, I am just less than 15-minute drive from the Russian troops. 15 minutes. You will meet the Russian troops, the Chechenian. That's why, you know, I told you the alarm just hit. All right. Any Abdul? Any question? There's hadith says women go to hell because of their a good body. Them Allah permit them to go to heaven. I don't know what you mean. If you can post what you are talking about, sometimes people they maybe because of the English way you say it, you know. But there's a hadith where women who have good body they will be taken from hell because they have nice boobs and nice butt and vagina. So they will be taken from hell, which means they are bad supposedly, and they will send them to heaven because they are good for boom boom. All right. Yeah. No, this is not the height he's talking about. He's talking about the women who have nice boobs and nice butt and vagina, and because of that, they will go to heaven. So if you are a female and you have nice boobs and nice butt and vagina, don't worry. You will go to heaven anyway. Yeah, desirable front passages. Desirable front passages, brother. مين؟ Desirable front passages. And by the way, translation about desirable front passages is not true. You know, I mean, it's not correct. But they are trying to be, let us say, to make it fit to be in a book, right? Uh, do we have any Abdul? How you know which verse is abrogated, which is not? Well, you know, there is no way to know based on the Quran. The only way to know is what the you know so-called scholars they say. But in reality, it's just messed up because the Muslim themselves don't agree about what is abrogated, what is not. Because it's just they put everything in the book, never nowhere it says about it. Like which one? Nobody knows. And why it's abrogated yet in the book, you know? And how come there's verses are not abrogated, they are not in the book? Like as an example, the stoning to death. It's not in the book. Why? Because the goat ate it. Any Abdul? Zero Abdul. So you see, guys, you say to me, this guy want to debate you, this guy. Here we go. We come, we stay online. And I change even my time. I woke up like 3:30 a.m. in the morning to set up my computer. As you know, I'm traveling. And yet, what we got? Ahmed Mirza Ghulam, the one who his so-called Messiah died because of diarrhea. You know, when the Messiah said, from their fruits you shall know them. What is the fruit of Ahmed Mirza Ghulam? Diarrhea. Literally. Why I want to go to the front? We just told you the Prophet, he says you will have a nice front passages. So why do I want to go to the front? I would like to go to the front. Why I will not? Are you scared? Actually, I am in the front. I'm just told you, 15-minute drive, you will be with the Russian. And this filthy Putin is shitting houses, apartment, you know, every day. You see in the news, like until now, actually, I did not see. I hear the alarms. I heard bombing, like few times, but nothing happened close to me. Like, you know, the city is big, so it's a big territory. Abbas from Speaker Corner. Yeah, we miss Abbas. Is he still alive? Abbas. Abbas. Abbas, yeah, Abbas. No more Abdul. All right. The pizza guy. All right. Let me see. Actually, you know, I found out that my seminar today was live online. You know? Yeah. Even though I told them I don't like videos, you know. So the whole seminar, all those hours, I was live on air, online. Can you believe it? In YouTube. I will not tell you where. Actually, I told them to take it down, you know. They said, you don't, I said, I don't like it, you know, because I like my privacy wherever I go. If I want to be online, I would be online a long time ago, you know, like showing myself. But they don't know better, you know, so they were live on air. Yeah. Actually, I know that they are going to be live, but what I know that they told the bishop that he don't like to be on camera, and they said, okay, we will do only voice, you know, his voice. Suppose this is how it's going to be. But then we found out that the whole was, you know, was online, was live. Yeah. You know, I don't, you know, I don't fear anybody, but you know, it's nice to walk in the street, nobody know you. You know, if you look at those people who they are very well known, wherever you go, You know, this guy want to take selfie with you, or somebody want to maybe scream at you. There is some people, they love publicity, you know, like they pay for it. Not me. If it happened, like I did not get upset from them, you know, like it's okay, but I told them no, you should take it down. Uh, they apologized. They said, "Oh, sorry, we made a mistake," you know. All right, any question? CP, actually, what happened to the Fort Thielen ship before Israeli got into the ship? Yeah, actually, there is a woman. Maybe I should make a video about it, maybe tomorrow, if I'm still in this town, you know, because if I'm traveling, I will not be able to go. And there's a woman, she went undercover in this, you know, Rita from India, from Sweden, and she, you know, she exposed the whole thing. Biggest scam. So maybe I should make a video about it. I found a video actually, but the video is not clear. You know, the one who made did it, he add music to it and make it horrible, make it like hard to understand. I mean, it's supposed to undercover agent, and then you add the music to the background of the talk so we can't hear it. Yes, Shia, SCP are Shia more liberal than Sunni? They are more shitty. It's like saying who is more diarrhea, the Sunni or the Shia. Both are shitty. Don't think the Shia are better. The Shia are very sneaky. When they are majority, they treat you worse than Sunni. But when they are minority, oh, we love a Christian, we love you know, they are the same. The same. Like if you go in Iraq, you will see how the Shia mistreat everybody, including the Muslim Sunni, not only Christians. If you go to country where the majority are Sunni, they are treated like dogs. So it's the same, you know, it depends where they are. Shia Sunni is the same garbage. All right, maybe we have somebody, maybe he's a Muslim. Let us see.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going fine. Are you a Muslim, my friend?
I might be
You might be, you're not sure.
correct. I don't think like Jesus is God, but I don't think Muhammad is special either.
So who are you? What do you want to tell me about yourself?
I think there's one God that created everything, including all evil, and yeah, he heals and he does many things, you know.
Who is this God?
This is the God of Jesus.
He's the God of Jesus?
Yeah.
Well, you know, but you said this God, he healed and he created everything, correct?
He heals and he created everything, correct?
Well, this is what Jesus did. Isn't it Jesus he who healed and he is the one who created? Like when the blind man, he cannot see. In order to make somebody he's born blind, you have to recreate eyes for him, as an example. Correct?
I think God can heal, yeah.
You think what?
I think God can heal. He healed the blind man, yes.
Yeah, but that means he's a creator.
Well, I mean, I don't think Jesus healed anybody.
You don't think Jesus healed anybody?
Correct.
Why you don't think?
God.
Huh?
God is why I don't think.
I don't understand you. Did Jesus heal people or he did not?
He did not.
He did not. So who did heal?
Who did the healing? God.
Hey, how you know?
I don't.
You don't. But you gave me affirmative answer a second ago. So how you don't, and you affirm your answer? I mean, are you just throwing answers at me like, you know?
Well, I have a question for you. Does God know everything?
Why you are changing my topic?
Okay, well, if you don't want me to ask questions, that's okay.
You can ask question, no problem, but why you are changing the topic? So I'm asking you now, how you know that even there's God and he healed?
I don't.
So how you affirm to me something you don't?
I don't. I'm not affirming anything.
Okay, a second ago you told me God is the one who healed, God is the one who created.
Correct.
So you're making a false assumption or true assumption?
Well, I don't know that that's the case. I just think it is.
When you say I just think, is that like very flexible? Can we negotiate?
I'm willing to be wrong, sure, yeah.
Okay, what is the price of gold today?
I have no idea.
Hmm. What is the price of intelligence today?
I don't think you can buy that at the market.
Exactly. So how I can make you intelligent today?
Well, if you're God, you could reveal to me what is true, I guess.
A second ago, you said to me you do not know if God can do or cannot. Now you are saying, if I am God, I can do. You are confused.
Am I confused?
You are very confused because you said to me, if you are God, you can do that. But when I ask you how you can confirm to me that God, he do heal, God, he create, you said I don't. So now you are saying the opposite. You are saying, if I'm God, I can do, make you smart.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so is that confirmation or maybe?
Well, God knows what he can do. I don't know.
How you know that God, he knows, if you cannot confirm to me anything about God?
God would have to confirm it.
So how you can confirm what he can do to me if did he confirm it to you?
He told me what he can do.
God, he told you?
Yeah.
What he told you? Tell me. I'm listening.
Well, he told me that he kills and he heals and he reveals
Where
and
where he told you that?
he does many things.
Where he told you that?
Uh, in a dream.
Or in a dream? Okay. Do you dream a lot?
No.
No. Like it was one dream and that's it?
4.
Four. Why not five?
I don't know.
It must be Wednesday. So what God told you in the dream you saw?
Soap is haram.
He told you what?
Soap is haram.
Soap is haram?
Yes.
What about shampoo?
Haram.
What about condoms?
Haram.
What about you?
I'm just a man.
You are a condom.
I'm a man.
Prove it. You are a condom. I saw a dream that you are a condom.
Well, I can't prove it to you.
Why you cannot?
I'm not God.
Okay, let me ask you, are you flexible?
Maybe.
See, you are a condom.
Well, they're not alive and I am, so that doesn't work.
Okay, no problem. Nice to meet you, Mr. Condom. Where do we get those people from? Allah told him that shampoo, soap is haram. Ladies, if there's anyone here single looking for a husband, perfect one, perfect one. He would die laughing every day. And same time, he will never use your shampoo. It's haram. Lord have mercy. Where I get those customers from? Oh boy. He's very flexible, like a condom. Idiot. Any Muhammadan? Mayday, mayday. No Muhammadan? Zero? Any Abdul? Last call, last call. Listen, if you debate me, you defend Islam. If you defend Islam, Allah will give you extra vagina. Big one, like 3 kilos. Beefy. I'm not sure about the color, by the way. I mean, Allah knows best. But don't you want to get the vagina? The big ones? You don't defend Islam, you will not even get any small one. You have to do something. It's your opportunity to increase your bank account vagina. What do you think? You Muslims are afraid of vagina. Not from me. Otherwise, I don't accept, I don't understand why you are not coming to debate me. I think you're afraid. I don't think we got Muslims here. No, trust me, they are here. I mean, we are in YouTube, we are in Rumble, we are everywhere. I woke up 3 a.m. in the morning to see if I can get Abdul. You guys keep sending me messages in the Patreon. We have Abdul want to debate you. We have Abdul. And then some they say to me, I have Abdul want to debate you. Please come online. Then we come online, and then there's no Abdul. We got just weird, you know. I mean, Muslims are weird anyway. But I mean, as you see, we got really weird people. Any Muhammadan? No? I think CP is genius. You know, I agree with you in the first part of that. My mom, when I was a kid, she used to call me genie. In Arabic, afrit, you know. Let us see. Any Muhammadan? Hello? Go ahead, honey. Talk. Are you there, honey? No sound?
Hello?
Hello, hello?
Yeah, no, it's because your mods have muted or something.
It's okay. So, are you a Muslim?
I'm Muslim, man.
You are a Muslim. What does that mean?
Muslim?
Yeah.
I think the word just means the like what is the meaning of the word? What is the actual definition of the word?
I don't know. I mean, when you say when you say to me, I'm a Muslim, what do you mean by saying that?
I would say today we would say that a Muslim is someone who submits themselves to God and follows the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
How you submit yourself to God? Explain to me.
How do you submit yourself to God? I think submitting yourself to God would be by believing in Him, believing in His messengers, and following the laws that God has laid out for us, and then following the sunnah of the Prophet.
So in order to submit to God, you have to follow the sunnah of the Prophet. What is that? What sunnah mean?
Sunnah is like well, I mean, sunnah is just to say like the teachings of the prophet, like the
Oh,
ways of the prophet.
all right.
Because we believe that we believe that the sunnah, like when like the prophets, like for example, like when the sunnah were talks about like there's some like rulings in the sunnah, right, for Sharia. Like those are like, we believe that's revelation from God.
All right. So what I understand that sunnah is that you do the practice of the Prophet, even physical practice, correct?
Yeah, but it just depends. Like for example, where when the where like the sunnah of the prophet be like growing a beard, right? But in like certain schools of thoughts, like the Shafi'i, shaving the beard isn't haram. It would just be considered disliked. So
Mm.
you'd still be considered Muslim, obviously.
Very interesting religion to the point that this God, he have rules for your beard, but he don't have rules in the Quran for rape.
Yeah, there is rules in the Quran for that, for rape.
Can you show me?
Well, I mean, it says unlawful intercourse is haram, right?
No, show me where it says in the Quran what is the punishment for rape and where it mentioned that.
So it says that in the Torah, and it says that in the Sunnah.
Okay, my friend, it says that in the Torah,
Hmm.
but it
And
doesn't
we believe
say.
that's revelation from
So,
God.
so did Allah, he forgot to tell Muhammad about what is the penalty for rape?
No, because the prophet, there's a hadith where the prophet says that if anyone commits rape, to stone them.
Can you show me the hadith? And the same time, why it's not in the Quran? Is Muhammad replacing Allah?
It doesn't matter if it's not in the Quran, just like a lot of things are in the Quran. Like for example, we don't know who the prophet's wives are in the Quran, but that doesn't invalidate it.
Yeah, but
So, but yeah, I'll bring you the hadith right now. I'll bring you the hadith though right now.
that is not going to change much if we know who is Muhammad's wives or not. We are talking about the rules of God. So if the Quran is the book of guidance, and you are saying to me in the book of guidance there is no guidance, then this is not a book of guidance. So why the Quran never mentioned the penalty for rape? Like why the Quran is spending time to tell us about the story of the flying carpet of Solomon, but the Quran don't have time to tell us what we should do if somebody rape a woman? And why the Torah mention it, but the Quran don't? If we have the same God, then the same God should have the same message and should
Mm-hmm.
provide us with the law. The
Yeah.
same he provided to Moses should have provided to the Muslim.
Hold up. Okay, so I got the hadith for you. So it's in Abu Dawud 4379, and it's in Ibn Majah 2554, and it's authenticated by Albani. Says it's Hassan and Sahih.
Okay,
So that's the hadith where it says, I'll read the hadith. It says, a woman came to the Prophet
Abu
sallallahu alaihi wasallam
Dawud, what the
and
number
said
again? Please, Abu Dawud number what?
4379, and she said, I was raped.
4379. Okay, all right.
She said, I was raped. The Prophet ﷺ sent someone to investigate. They found and brought the man who had raped her. He was sentenced to death, and the Prophet said, stone him to death.
But if you read the story for me, you will see that your prophet was not a prophet. Read the story for me, please.
Read the story. What story?
Read the story, just the one you mentioned.
I just read it out for you.
Okay, but the woman, she said to him, a man, he raped me. And what Muhammad did?
He told her to investigate,
Okay, and what happened?
and the guy was stoned.
Okay, based on what Muhammad was able to stone the man?
Want me to read out the full hadith?
No, I'm asking
Okay, I'll
you.
read out the full hadith.
No,
Let
listen,
me read out the full hadith.
no problem. But I'm asking you just to
Narrated Whalen ibn
just to
Hajar.
make it clear. Just to make it clear. When Muhammad he practiced the stoning, he practiced what?
What do you mean he practiced what he's
Is he
they stoned
following?
him?
Is he following Allah?
Of course.
Okay, where Allah said to him, if somebody do rape, you stone him.
Because in the Quran it says obey Allah and obey His Messenger. So
you are saying, you are saying, you Muslim believe that Muhammad he can fabricate law, and he is God.
No, I wouldn't say that, right? And the reason I wouldn't say that either, Christian Prince, is because you know the hadith, right? Where it says that the Jews came to the Prophet, right? And because a woman, they had committed adultery, right?
Mm.
And they bring the Prophet, they have him sit on the cushion. And what does the Prophet do? He grabs the cushion, puts it in the front of him. He lays the Torah on it, and he goes, right, I believe in you and the one who revealed you, and that's when the verse was of stoning was in there for the punishment.
All
So
right.
the prophet wanted us to fabricate things. Then the prophet could have just made a judgment by himself, right? Because they didn't when they gave the prophet the cushion, that was saying that he had the authority. So the prophet could have just fabricated anything right there, but the
All right.
prophet bought the
So,
Torah.
so you are
Correct?
saying to me, you're a prophet. In order to practice things correctly, he have to follow the Torah because the Quran.
No, because this is for the Jews, right? Even for example,
No problem,
in the verse in the
my
Quran,
friend, no problem for the Jews. So why it is not in the Quran? So Muhammad was following the Torah of the Jews?
it doesn't need to be in it doesn't need to be in the Quran.
What do you mean doesn't mean? It doesn't need to be. Who is the one to decide it have to be or doesn't?
Because in the Quran it tells us to follow the hadiths.
The Quran says you have to follow the hadith?
Of course.
Okay.
Obey the prophet, obey Allah and obey his messenger.
All right.
How do they obey
So,
Allah? How do they obey the messenger?
okay,
By obeying his
so
sunnah.
when the prophet he come with something, you have to obey him even if it's contradict the Quran?
The prophet would never bring something that contradicts the Quran.
Okay, in chapter 4, verse 24, it says you do mut'ah.
And that's muta?
Mut'ah, chapter 4, verse 24.
Well, no, well, I mean you can say that, but it doesn't explicitly say it. Muta
No,
in
it
there.
says that. It's not up to you. It's not up to you. It's not up to me.
Okay, here, let's read it out. I'll read it out right now.
Okay, read
It
it.
says, and also forbidden are married women except female captives in your possession. This is Allah's commandment to you, lawful to you are all beyond these, as long as you seek them with your wealth in a legal marriage, not in fornication. Give those you have consummated marriage with their due dowries. It is permissible, so be mutually gracious regarding the set dowry. Surely Allah is all-knowing, all-wise.
Can you read any Islamic interpretation for me and tell me, does it say this is about mut'ah or not? Any one of
Yeah,
them.
it is about muta.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
So now we agree, me and you, this is about mut'ah. Where Muhammad said in the Quran, what Allah said in the Quran, don't do mut'ah.
The prophet abrogated muta.
Exactly.
The Shia still follow it though.
So look
the Shia still follow muta.
So look what happened. The prophet, he abrogated the command of Allah, which means the command of Allah contradict the command of Muhammad. Which one you follow? You follow Muhammad.
Yeah, because in the Quran it says obey Allah and obey His messenger.
Yeah,
and
but
it says in the Quran that the prophet doesn't speak of his own desire.
Hold
Wait,
on.
let me finish.
How you can obey Allah?
Can I finish?
How you can obey Allah and obey Muhammad in the same time if they are contradicting their decision?
Oh, no, it's just an abrogation of something.
Where it says abrogated, show me the reference.
The prophet abrogated it.
No, who? See, I'm asking you. This is contradiction. Yeah. You are claiming this abrogation. You claim. Show me where your prophet says, I abrogated this verse.
Oh, you want me to bring where the prophet abrogates muta? Okay.
No, don't show me the hadith saying, don't do muta. Show me where it says that the verse in the Quran is not to follow, and you follow this from now on. This is what called abrogation. Abrogation.
That's a verbatim fallacy. That's just being fallacious then.
All right.
It doesn't say that. It's explicitly no.
I will go with you then. You just say this is a fallacy, right?
Yeah, if you're telling me to bring a verbatim where the prophet says, "Do not follow the specific verse," that's a fallacy. Right? That's a verbatim fallacy.
Okay, so I will go with you. If I show you that you're a prophet and the caliphate they practice mut'ah during the time of Muhammad and even after Muhammad's death, how you explain that to me?
Say that again.
You said that your prophet said that the mut'ah is forbidden, correct?
Yeah. Oh, there's a hadith of Omar radiallahu anhu saying the prophet forbade mut'ah.
And I have a da'if hadith says that the prophet he did mut'ah and Abu Bakr do mut'ah and Umar did mut'ah.
Yeah, but it's da'if though.
Huh?
You say you have a da'if hadith?
It's da'if, yeah.
Then why do I care? It's weak.
So what?
If it's da'if, it's weak. We don't take it. It's da'if.
Okay. But you Muslim take a lot of weak da'if hadith. You don't complain about it. There's tons of them. You take them.
No. What da'if hadith do we take?
As an example, this one. The one I just told you. This is ضعيف Muslim, Sahih Muslim. Just to show people how Muslim they play games. This is Sahih Muslim saying that you Muslims, Abu Bakr and Muhammad, all they practice mut'ah in the time of Muhammad and after Muhammad. In the time of Muhammad and after Muhammad. So if the hadith you are talking about Muhammad forbidding the mut'ah, how Abu Bakr and Umar, the caliphate, they practice mut'ah after Muhammad? And this is the hadith. Open it. I just give you the link.
Okay. Where's the hadith at?
This is Sahih Muslim. This is very Sahih. And as you see, it's clear. It says during the time.
I don't see the hadith. Where'd you put it at?
I put the link for you.
Okay, sorry. I see it. So this is it was Ibn Urayj Atsi reported that Jabir ibn Abdullah came to perform Umrah, and when he came to his boat, and the people asked him about different things, and then they mentioned of temporary marriage, whereupon he said, "Yes, we have been benefiting ourselves by this temporary marriage during the lifetime of the Prophet, and during the time of Abu Bakr and Umar." Okay.
So all the life of Umar, all the life of Umar, and all the life of Abu Bakr, and all the life of Muhammad, mut'ah is a practice. So how your prophet?
No, that's not what it's saying. That's not what the hadith is saying. No.
Yes.
But can I talk?
Do you see the word lifetime?
Yeah, during the lifetime of the Prophet and during the time of Abu Bakr and Omar. So this
exactly.
is saying that during the time, yeah, exactly.
That's fine. During the time of Abu Bakr being the caliphate, Abu Bakr was a caliphate until he died. During the time of Umar.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
What?
No, that's not true.
What do you mean true?
They didn't afterwards, after the Prophet died, there's no Omar is the one who prohibited it, and even the Prophet prohibited it in Sahih Muslim's 1406a.
Guys, listen. Does it say in front of you that during the time, which means all the time of Abu Bakr and all the time of Umar, we practice mut'ah? So if Muhammad
no, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in the hadith.
It says that during
brother,
the time.
brother. No, it says no. Can we clarify what it's saying?
Go ahead.
It's saying during the lifetime of the Prophet and then during the time of Abu Bakr and Omar. It doesn't say during the whole. It doesn't say during the lifetime of Abu Bakr and Omar. It says during the time of Abu Bakr.
So Abu Bakr was dead.
So that's referring to all three of them. That's
so when it says it during the time of Abu Bakr, he means during the time Abu Bakr was dead.
No, it's talking about during the time he was alive.
Okay,
and Omar.
So that means Abu Bakr
and the
Omar,
Prophet. Yeah, when all three were alive together.
So let us confirm me and you the agreement that they practice mut'ah even after Muhammad's death. This is what it says, correct?
Okay, how about this? How about bring me a hadith where it shows that Abu Bakr or Omar.
There's no need. I just showed you one. Here we go.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that they did. It doesn't say that they did mut'ah.
Does it say?
It's saying.
Does it say? And you are the one who said to me that the one who forbade it is Omar.
Yeah. Okay. Look, the hadith is saying.
So who is?
Atsi reported that. Brother, can I read?
So who is the Prophet, Omar or Muhammad?
Muhammad is the Prophet, not Omar.
So who is Omar to forbid it?
Yeah. No, brother. Omar didn't forbid it himself. He said that the Prophet forbade it, and the Prophet did forbid it in Sahih Muslim.
Okay.
I'll bring the hadith.
And this is Sahih Muslim.
I'll bring the hadith.
And this is hold on. And this is Sahih Muslim.
Yeah, let's go to Sahih Muslim where the Prophet forbade
mut'ah. So now you are saying to me that the same book saying that we practice the mut'ah during the time of Muhammad. Muhammad never forbid it because it says here during the lifetime of Muhammad.
Yeah, he did forbid it.
No,
it's Sahih Muslim.
No, it says.
Brother, it's a Sahih Muslim.
Hold on. It says in the front of you during the lifetime of the Prophet, the lifetime, which means all the lifetime of Muhammad was.
No, that brother, no. That wouldn't be. That's not being generous to what the Quran and the Hadith.
When I say when I say during the life, when I say during the lifetime of somebody, am I saying all his lifetime or some of it?
Okay, so when Muhammad, before he was a prophet, were they doing mut'ah?
He did mut'ah, yeah.
Before chapter 4 verse 24 was revealed, Show me evidence that they're doing muta, because this is during the Prophet's lifetime. So you're making it seem like all of the lifetime of the Prophet there's muta. So show
Yes,
me evidence
I,
that before. Let me
I am
finish. Let me
showing
finish,
you.
brother. Let me finish.
I'm showing you
Prince,
the
I didn't
evidence.
cut you off, brother.
No
I didn't
problem.
cut you off.
Listen,
Can I finish?
no problem. We're having a conversation. It's in front of you. It says that.
I know, but I'm trying to finish. So you're cutting me off.
Okay, go ahead.
So show me any evidence before chapter 4, verse 24 was revealed. Show me any evidence that muta was being practiced before that, because you said during the lifetime of the prophets. So that means all of the prophet's life, from since he was born to since he died. That's the inference you're trying to make.
I think you are mature.
So let's see it.
I think you are mature enough to know that we are not saying since Muhammad was a kid. So when we say during the lifetime of the prophet,
Well, that's what you're trying to imply, though, dude.
Hold on. This is since he is a prophet, he is practicing muta. Do you have a date for the muta verse? You can show it to me.
You want to see? Oh, want me to find out? Want me to show you when muta was when people started doing muta?
Do you have the date of it, like which day number 1 when he became prophet, or day number 2, or a week after? Can you show me the date?
I'll tell you more likely when muta was revealed. The guy was revealed.
So listen, it says in front of us during the lifetime of your prophet. This is your Islamic words, not mine. So all his lifetime, which means since established until he died.
No, the final years of the prophet was forbidden. Yeah, the final years was forbidden.
No,
but it was.
It says lifetime. That means Muhammad dies. Still, they are practicing it, and not only that, it is practiced even.
Show me what?
Muhammad.
No, show me. No, they weren't, dude.
It's in front of you,
brother. Even there's so many. There's so many hadiths where okay. How about this? This is where I'm at right here. So in Sahih Muslim 1405, right? It was narrated that the Prophet, they allowed him to do muta during the conquest of Mecca. Then he forbade it. And then even in Sahih Muslim 1407, Ali ibn Abi Talib even says it that the Messenger of Allah forbade muta, right? And then he forbade other stuff on the day of Khaybar.
Ali ibn Abi Talib.
And then we go to Omar doing the same thing.
Ali, he said that, right?
Yeah, Ali said that the Prophet forbade muta, and then another Sahabi said
read this one for me so we can live together. This is read this hadith, and this one you mentioned to me in the beginning.
Okay, show me the hadith.
This is the link.
You didn't drop a link. You just drop Arabic letters.
All right.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, Jabir bin Abdullah reported we contracted temporary marriage, giving a handful of tables and flour as a dowry during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger and during the time of Abu Bakr until Omar forbade it in the case of Amr bin Hurayth.
All right. Remember, this is the hadith you mentioned to me in the beginning. Does it say until Omar forbade it?
Brother, there's multiple narrations of it. Yeah, no, Omar didn't. It's not the Omar
narration.
It's not that.
So hold on.
It's not the Omar.
Hold on.
No. Can I finish?
Is that Sahih? Is that Sahih hadith or not?
Yeah, it's Sahih.
So how it can be authentic if it's contradicting what you are saying?
It's not that it's contradictory. You're not understanding.
It says until.
What it's saying is.
So who is the one who?
Brother, you're not even letting me. Brother, you're not even letting me finish. You're not even letting me talk.
Who is the one? Who is the one who forbid it? Is it your prophet or Omar based on this hadith?
The prophet forbade it.
No, based on the hadith, Omar forbade it.
No, because the hadith that one is going off of is the hadith where Omar forbade it because he said the prophet forbade it, not because he's saying it's forbidden.
Hold on.
And I could bring the hadith where the prophet.
If the prophet,
I'll just bring the hadith now. I'll bring the hadith now.
Listen. If the prophet forbid it, why Abu Bakr practicing it?
Abu Bakr was practicing it?
Yeah.
Okay, show me where Abu Bakr was practicing.
It's in front of you. It says, and during the time of Abu Bakr.
Yeah, it doesn't say that Abu Bakr was doing it.
What? Who cares? You see, guys,
brother, the hadith doesn't say that Abu Bakr was doing muta.
Abu Bakr is the caliphate, and we Muslim practice muta during Abu Bakr time. So he practiced or not doesn't make a difference. That means legal. So they practice it. If Muhammad forbid it, Muhammad died. Abu Bakr is the caliphate. Why Abu Bakr in his time the Muslim practicing muta?
I don't get what the question you're asking me.
No, you understand very well, but now you are playing dumb. If the prophet,
no, I'm not.
Yes, if the prophet is dead now, and he forbid it already, so now why they are practicing it during the time of Abu Bakr?
Oh, because some of the people at the time did not know that the Prophet forbade mut'ah.
Ah,
Because because we
no,
find the reason why we know that
no.
because I'll tell you why.
Those are
Can I tell you
companion.
why?
Jabir is a companion of the Prophet. You cannot say at that time we do not know. Those are the people of Mecca, and now they do not know.
Some of the things I know because the reason why we know is because in
Can you
Ibn
prove to
Hajar
me?
and Faisal, brother,
I have a
if
challenge.
brother, can I talk? Or are you gonna cut me off?
You
You're
can
just cutting
talk.
me off.
I have a challenge for you to prove me a liar or to prove
Okay.
yourself to be truthful. Can you show me where it says they do not know?
Yeah, Ibn Hajar and Faisal Bari, Volume
Ibn
9,
Hajar,
chapter page.
was a companion.
Can I finish?
Ibn Hajar was a companion.
No, he wasn't a companion.
Okay, so now give me.
I don't. He's a scholar. So I'll tell you why. Can I, brother? Can I?
You see, does it say we contracted? We. This
You're
is
just cutting me off, brother.
this is the person. This is a person who was literally living in the time of Muhammad, living in the time of Abu Bakr, living in the time of Umar, not Abu Hajar. So we are talking about somebody. He was a first-hand witness, and he's a companion, saying we practice it during Muhammad time. Muhammad died.
Not everyone knew. Not everybody knew it was abrogated, brother.
Listen,
some of the companions didn't know it was abrogated.
You are making up a lie because is Jabir, he knew? He is one of the most close companion to Muhammad, and you are telling me he do not know.
No, brother. Every single scholar, like Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Hajar, all of our classical scholars, all hold the same position.
Listen, they are giving you excuse.
And look at you're cutting me off. You're just cutting me off. This is what you do, Christian. You cut me off, bro. Can I make my point and then you can respond?
No, you are making your point. Those are YouTubers. Like today, you are a YouTuber. You come and you say, okay, they don't know. So they did not witness how they knew. They have evidence.
Can I finish now?
Do you have evidence that they do not know?
Yeah, I want to read a couple quotes and then I'll bring the evidence that they didn't know.
No, you give me a hadith. The same we are showing you hadith that they knew. You show me a hadith says they don't know. You don't give me a book written 1,000 years after saying they do not know. I can make a book too.
When was Ibn Hajar?
Was he a witness?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Okay, I got the hadith there. Let me pull it up. Okay, so we'll play this game. Okay. Sahih Muslim Jabir ibn Abdullah said, "We used to practice mut'ah during the lifetime of the Messenger of Allah, and during the time of Abu Bakr, and during the early part of Umar's caliphate, until Umar forbade it when he heard that Amr bin Hurayth had engaged in it, right? Because Amr ibn Hurayth did not know it was abrogated. So then Omar had to, then that's in the hadith where Omar goes, well, Omar forbids it because, and then he quotes saying that the Messenger of Allah forbade it. That's why he forbade it.
So you are saying
some of the Sahabis did not know.
Hold on. You said to me that a person he practiced it, or a group of people they practice it, so Omar he forbade it. Correct?
Yeah, because some of the Muslims were still doing it.
All right. But here I have Jabir. Is Jabir a person who is first-hand contact with Muhammad, and he was a companion of Muhammad who walked with him almost every day? Do he knew or he don't?
He couldn't have known.
He did not know?
He couldn't have. No. I mean, it's not impossible. The companions aren't infallible. Like, the companions aren't infallible.
So, okay, how...
Just let me give you an example. Let me give you an example.
Hold on.
Hold up. No, it's not necessarily related to this, but it's an example.
Hold on.
Can I give you one example and then you can go?
Hold on. What about Abu Bakr? All the time of Abu Bakr, and the Muslims still do not know that mut'ah is forbidden?
No, it's not that they didn't know. It's not all. It's not that they didn't know. Not all of them. Some of them were still practicing.
Okay, why they practice?
Because they didn't know it was abrogated.
It says in the front of you.
That's why. What
it says. We practice it during the time of Abu Bakr, which means non-stop.
Brother, you're not. Hey, Christian, take care, bro. You're not even letting me talk.
Listen, I'm letting you talk during the time.
No, you're not, bro. You're not, brother. Every time I talk, you cut me off.
Muslim? Does it say Abu Bakr forbid it during his time? No. Right? No.
Huh?
All the time of Muhammad, of Abu Bakr being the caliphate, the Muslim practice mut'ah.
Is there a narration where Abu Bakr says
It
that
says,
he
it's,
said that it's
it's, in
no
the,
muta?
it's in the front of you. It says, during the time of Abu Bakr until Umar forbid it. So Abu Bakr pass, Umar, he is the last one who decide it's forbidden. So you are saying to me that during Abu Bakr, the Muslim, they are practicing muta and nobody notice.
Yeah, Abu Bakr just probably just didn't know that people were doing muta.
Maybe Abu Bakr, he allowed them, Umar, he forbid it, huh?
No, you have to show me where Abu Bakr allowed it.
It's in front of you. It's because as long as during
That
his
doesn't
time.
say. They said that they were doing it during the time of Abu Bakr. That doesn't mean he allowed
Yes,
it.
no. If they are doing it, that means legal. Who is the one in charge?
No. Okay, there you go. You cooked yourself. Okay, so if Muslims at the time were doing fornication, they were doing zina, and Abu Bakr didn't know of it and he didn't hear of it, does that mean that Abu Bakr allowed it and that was okay?
Guys, did you hear what he said? He said,
Answer the question.
hold on, I'm answering. He said, are you saying during the time of Abu Bakr, the Muslims, they were practicing zina, which means fornication? And he mentioned fornication. So you admitted that muta is a fornication, and your prophet allowed fornication. And now Abu Bakr
I didn't
is
say
allowing
that.
fornication. And then Omar, he said, don't do fornication. You said that.
No,
Guys,
you're not
who
even
is the
you're not
one?
even understanding what I'm telling you.
People, listen.
Christian Prince.
Who
I'm
is
asking
the
you this. No,
who
okay.
is the
Can
one?
I repeat it?
Who is the one who
Can I
mentioned?
repeat it?
No, you can. You are the one who said. Are you saying during the time of Abu Bakr they are doing fornication? You said that.
No, okay. You're not understanding what I'm saying, Christian Prince, because
No,
what you're
I
saying is,
understand.
well,
Okay, okay.
oh
Say to
my
me.
Lord,
Say
bro,
to me. Okay, hold
brother,
on,
can
hold
I
on.
talk?
Repeat what you said word by
All
word.
you're doing is talking. All you're
Repeat.
doing is talking.
Repeat what
Let
you
me
just.
talk.
By the way, it's recorded. So repeat what you just said word by
I
word.
don't.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. You're not gonna cut me off, right?
Repeat what you said.
Okay. All right. So you said, well, since there are people still doing it, Muslims and even companions.
Repeat what you just said to me a minute ago. I don't hear you.
Sorry. I got a phone call, brother. I got a phone call.
Oh, really?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Repeat what you said, please.
Can you hear? Okay, all right. That's what I said.
Re-
You said,
repeat
brother. Can I
exactly.
finish?
Hold on, no, hold on.
How?
I
All
want
right.
you to repeat
Let me talk. I'm gonna repeat
exactly.
it.
I want you to.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna repeat it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. You said, well, since some of the Muslims at the time of Abu Bakr were doing muta, right? That means that Abu Bakr allowed it, correct?
No, you mentioned fornication.
Yeah. No. That's yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But so
Repeat.
exactly. So
No,
that's it's the
repeat.
same
No,
thing. So
no, repeat exactly what you
oh
said to
my
me.
Lord.
Exactly what you said. Repeat
Yeah.
it. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. If you don't cut me off, you'll understand what I'm trying to say because you're
No,
not
you are
actually
trying
getting
to
what I'm trying to tell you.
explain. You are trying to explain. I want you to repeat exactly what you said to me 2 minutes ago.
Okay, so don't cut me off.
Okay.
Okay, so just because that people at the time of Abu Bakr were practicing muta, he didn't know about it, doesn't mean he allowed it. Because even if they're Muslims at the time, if they're doing zina or they're doing who knows what, and Abu Bakr didn't know of it, doesn't mean he allowed it. Just because people were doing muta during the time of the Prophet doesn't mean he allowed it. That
This
just
is
means he
not
didn't
what you
know of it.
this is not what you
That's
said.
why. That's
This is
why.
not what you
No,
said to me 2 minutes ago.
that's literally what I said to you. Yeah, there are Muslims doing fornication, and if he did not know it,
We
right?
are
Abu Bakr
talking,
didn't know that the
guys.
people were doing
We are
fornications.
talking about muta. He mentioned fornication. What is the connection?
Brother, because I'm just applying. Just because Abu Bakr did not know of something happening doesn't mean that he allowed
No,
it.
because
That Abu
fornication.
Bakr
No,
didn't know that they
listen.
were doing muta.
Abu Bakr do not need to
Show me a narration where Abu Bakr knew they
Abu
were doing
Bakr do
muta.
not need to forbid fornication because already known to be forbidden. So what are you talking about? You mentioned fornication.
Exactly.
You
And
mentioned
thank you.
fornication because you agreed that muta is a fornication.
Muta is fornication.
Is it or
No,
not?
muta. I'm not too sure. I don't know.
What do you mean
I
not
don't know if it's
sure?
considered fornication.
Now
I don't know. I know it's haram.
hold on,
But
hold
I don't
on,
know if
hold
it
on,
would be
hold on.
the
Guys,
I don't know if
this
it would be the
guy,
same
he
level
is
as
the
being
one who
fornication.
mentioned zina and fornication, speaking about muta. Our topic was muta. He mentioned, not me, zina, which means fornication, and he mentioned the word in English, fornication. I'm asking you a direct question.
Yeah, fornication.
Is
Yeah.
muta a fornication? Yes or no?
Is muta fornication?
Yes.
I don't think so, no.
If it is
It's
not,
haram though.
guys, if it's not, so why you forbid it?
Because it's not allowed no more.
Why?
Brother, yeah. So muta at the time was not. No, of course it wasn't the time of at the time of the Prophet. It wasn't fornication, right?
Listen.
Now,
In
but
the
if someone
time,
tries to do muta now,
listen,
hold on, let me finish. If someone tries to do muta now, then it's zina. If it's zina now, yeah, it's zina. It's zina now.
It is zina. Okay, guys, so it's fornication.
Yeah, now it's zina.
So your prophet allowed fornication, and then he forbid fornication, and then he allowed fornication. In fact, if you read with me here, if you read in the top, it says,
go on.
Read with me. Read the title of the hadith I gave you. The one, it's Sahih Muslim 1405.
Well, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments.
All right, here we go. Read and laugh with me. Read the title, please.
Yeah, you didn't say nothing.
I gave you the link.
I don't see no link. Oh, there it is.
Guys, do you see the link I gave you in Discord? Am I posting?
So Jabir bin Abdullah.
No, read the title. Read the title. No.
What?
Read the title. Chapter Mut'a, marriage. It was. Read it.
It was permitted, then abrogated, then permitted, then abrogated. And it will remain forbidden until the day of resurrection.
Is that a joke?
Okay.
Is that a joke?
What's the joke?
It says it was permitted, then abrogated, then permitted, then abrogated, then it remained forbidden. What is this?
Yeah, it's forbidden.
Okay.
It's forbidden.
When the first time was permitted, and when the second time it was permitted.
Say it again.
It was permitted, then abrogated. Bingo. Okay. Then it was permitted, and then abrogated.
What do you? What are you trying to ask me?
I'm asking you if Muhammad he permitted and then abrogated, why he permitted again?
But why was it permitted again? Because it's talking about like it's talking about times in context of war. Yeah, because there's a hadith.
First of all, this is how
they allowed it. Where they allowed it when they were doing the conquest.
This has nothing to do with war, because in the time of war, in fact, they do not need this, because simply they are asking Muslim women, not anyone, to sleep with them, even for exchange of food or even dress.
Okay.
Okay, so this is not war. You go to a woman in the street, you say to her, I'm going to sleep with you, I will give you this. She said, okay. For how long? 2 hours. Okay, let's do it. So it was permitted, then abrogated, then permitted, then abrogated. Can you show me where Muhammad received a command from his God to permit it again?
There's no ayah in the Quran where it says it was forbidden.
So there's no ayah in the Quran to abrogate it. There's no ayah in the Quran to permit it again. There's no ayah in the Quran to forbid it for day of resurrection. All of this because Muhammad is fabricating his own rules. Because if Allah he forbid it.
Hold up, I got someone yapping on my ear. Let me mute this person. Hold up. All right, keep going.
So you're a prophet. He fabricate things as he wish, and he allow fornication. Then the Arab and the Christian.
No, brother, he didn't allow fornication, dude. He allowed muta. Muta is now fornication. It's zina now, but not at the time it wasn't.
How if now it's fornication, then it was fornication?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. Let me ask you this.
If I pay a woman money to sleep with me, is that prostitution or not?
Today, yeah, that'd be prostitution.
In the time of Muhammad was okay. You pay a woman, she opened her legs.
Because God said it was allowed.
It was.
That's why they were able to do muta. Yeah.
It was what?
Chapter 4, verse 24.
It was what?
It was allowed. Yeah. In chapter 4:24, Allah revealed the ayah. Chapter 4 it says
was it allowed for the people of Moses to rent women?
Rent women?
Yes, this is rent.
No.
It is rent.
It's mutual. It's mutual.
No.
Right?
Yeah, rent.
Is it mutual?
Well, you rent a woman. The woman.
Is it mutual?
The woman she rent.
Is it mutual?
The woman she rent herself to you in exchange of money.
No, it could have been. It didn't have to necessarily be money. It could have been other things.
It's money, still property. Benefit.
It doesn't have to be money. It could be other things.
Give me other things like what?
whatever they want at the time. It doesn't matter. It didn't have to be
No,
specifically
it's matter.
money.
It matter.
No.
No, tell me.
Because it says they're due dowry. It says they're due dowry. So it doesn't have to necessarily be money.
Listen. You said it can be other things. Does that mean gold? Does that mean dollar?
Okay.
Does that mean Visa card?
All right. Okay. So I want to ask you something. So you told
Don't change topic. Don't change topic. Don't change. You said
I'm not changing the topic. I'm not changing the topic.
You
It's about muta, brother.
you said it
So you
can be
said,
other things.
let me ask you a question.
I'm asking you. Don't change the question because I asked
brother,
you.
It's related to the topic.
All right. This is your Muslim website saying it is rented women. Why you are lying? Your Muslim website.
Brother, I don't. What website? What website?
Here we go. The pillars of muta. I will go down. It says rented.
So what website is it? Is it a Shia website?
It doesn't matter. It's rented. All the
it's a Shia website.
Okay, hold on, guys. It's a Shia website. The Shia are more. The Shia are more Muslim than you because they are following the book of Allah. You follow the book of Al-Bukhari. You don't follow Allah. You follow Al-Bukhari.
Brother, where do they think they get that? They get that in the Kafi.
So now listen. Okay, listen. So now
they get that. That's in the Kafi where it's quoting it.
Okay, I will not show you Shia books. I will show you Sunni books.
I don't care about Shia books, dude.
Did your prophet says that a Muslim man can take a woman to his bed 3 days, 3 nights? Yes or no?
Say that again?
A Muslim man, he can take a woman to his bed 3 days, 3 nights. Yes or no?
In Sahih Muslim?
I don't care where. I'm asking you, did he say that?
I'm not too sure. Bring me the source.
But is that bad? Is that fornication or not?
Brother, show me the source. I have to read the source.
I'm asking you before I show you.
The source and we'll read
if I say,
I want to see the source. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I have to read the source first.
If I say to my followers, you can F a woman 3 days, 3 nights, is that fornication or not?
Is that fornication?
Yes.
If it's muta, no, it wasn't fornication. No.
Hold on. If it's muta.
Bring the hadith.
3 days, 3
Brother, are you going to bring the hadith?
3 days.
Brother, are you going to bring the hadith?
I don't have the hadith. I need to look for it. 3 days, 3 nights.
Oh, so I don't care then.
No, you have to care. I have to look for it.
No, brother, you're not. Bring me a narration where it's talking about.
It might take me a year to find it. Hold on. So I'm asking you a question. If a man, he says, you can take a woman to your bed 3 days, 3 nights, and F her 3 days, 3 nights, is that allowed in Islam?
Right now?
Before? Yeah.
No, at the time of the Prophet, it was muta. That was muta. Because muta, it doesn't have to. Muta. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Sahih. It's in Sahih Muslim 1405. Yeah. So that's fine. Yeah, it's talking about during the campaign of the conquest of Mecca. Yeah, that's fine.
No.
Then he forbade it. He forbade it.
No, I'm not talking about.
That's the one you're referring to. That's exactly. That's the one you're talking about 3 days.
I'm not talking about that. I'm asking you a specific question. Did your prophet say that a man he can take a woman and F her for 3 days, 3 nights? You said
this is 3 days during the conquest of Mecca. Yeah, it was allowed for the 3 days. Correct.
No, this is not during anything. This is any time.
Yes, that's exactly what the hadith is talking about. It's talking about the conquest of Mecca.
This has happened anytime.
No, it's talking about brother. It's talking about the conquest of Mecca.
Anytime. Read it.
Yep, it's in Musnad Ahmed, bro.
No,
by Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal.
No, this is Sahih.
It's talking about the conquest of Mecca.
Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith number 5119.
Okay, Sahih Bukhari, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll say it again. 53 what?
5119.
Okay, let's open it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Salama bin al-Aqwa, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a man and woman agree to muta, their marriage should last for 3 nights.
No. Nowhere it says muta. Hold on. Nowhere it says muta.
It says in the parentheses. That's what's referring to.
Nowhere it says muta. This is a lie translation.
It isn't, brother. Yeah, it says in the quotation mark. Okay, I'll read it without the quotation mark.
Okay, it says,
there you go.
If any man,
Allah's Messenger said, if a man and a woman agree, their marriage should last for 3 nights.
Where it says
they
marriage?
Like to continue, let me finish the hadith. Let me finish the hadith because it's going to bake you. The hadith's going to bake you. The hadith's going to bake you. Allah's going to bake you.
This is not what the hadith is saying. There's no marriage.
Yeah, okay, let me read. I'm not reading. I'm going to read it the proper translation, okay? If a man and a woman agree, their marriage should last for 3 nights. And if they like to continue, they can do so. And if they want to separate, they can do so. I do not know whether that was only for us or for all the people in general. Abu Abdullah said, Ali made it clear that the Prophet said that muta marriage has been canceled. Thank you. So it is talking about muta. You
all right.
don't you
Hold
donut.
on. Hold on.
It literally says the whole hadith cooks you. It says it's talking about muta.
You see, just to show you that you are stupid like all non-Muslims. This is the hadith in Arabic. Show me where the word muta in the whole hadith. Go ahead. And apologize for being a donkey and a liar like the rest of Muslims.
Okay, let me look at that.
Where it says the muta. Apologize for being a donkey. You insulted me.
I'm looking at the head. I'm looking at it right now. It does say muta in there.
Where it says muta?
In there.
Where it says muta?
It says.
Apologize.
Okay. It says Abdul.
You don't.
It doesn't say that. No, it doesn't say that. It just says, and it said Ali clarified that it was abrogated by the Prophet. What was abrogated by the Prophet in that hadith?
Listen. You said it says.
What is Ali saying that was abrogated?
You said.
Yeah, it doesn't say muta. It doesn't say muta.
Where?
It says it was abrogated. What was abrogated?
Where it says muta?
It doesn't say muta. Okay, in the hadith.
Where it says,
okay, what is Ali saying was abrogated?
Let us see how many lies. Let us see how many lies you told me. You said this is marriage when you were reading, but nowhere it says marriage. Does it say marriage? Does it say marriage?
In the hadith?
Yes. Apologize.
Let me see.
Apologize.
I'm gonna look right now. It does say marriage.
Apologize.
Yeah, it does say marriage.
The whole hadith is 2 seconds. Do you know how to read Arabic? Read in Arabic. Read it. Go ahead.
I can't read Arabic good. It says Waqala ibn Abi Dahib Hadathana. Yes, Ibn Salma. It says.
This is Arabic now. Are you reading Arabic for me? Are you sure?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, actually, no. It doesn't say marriage. Relationship.
No, you said to me you claimed you know Arabic.
It says relationship. It says relationship. It doesn't say marriage.
You know Arabic. Read
it doesn't say relationship. It says marry. It says relationship. It doesn't say marry.
Okay, but you claim you know Arabic. Where it says relationship,
I don't know Arabic. I don't know Arabic.
So why are you trying to sound like you know Arabic?
It doesn't say marriage. It says relationship in there.
All right. So if in each other.
Okay, read it in Arabic. Read it in Arabic. Read it in Arabic.
Listen. أيما رجل.
Read it in Arabic.
Okay. أيما رجل وامرأة وافقا فعشرة ما بينهما 3 ليال فإن أحبا أن يتزايدا ويتتاركا. This is how you read. So now listen. Your prophet said, and you agreed, this is a relationship. So it's a free sex.
Oh, so it does say relationship, correct?
Yes, relationship of sex.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and then why was it? Okay,
relationship of sex.
It says it was forbidden, right?
Sex. Relation of sex.
Okay, it says relation. No, it says sex. It says relationship.
Relationship of sex. Ishra mean sex.
It doesn't say sex in the hair. It doesn't say sex in the.
It is sex. Okay, hold on.
Where's the word sex in the Arabic? Where's the word sex?
So the man and the women, what they would do by doing this? Are they going to have sex or play cards?
They could go just be friends. I don't know. They can go on dinner dates. They could go on a walk with each other. They can do whatever. They don't have to have sex.
All right. So listen now. So any man, any woman.
At the end of let me ask you the question.
Let me finish. Any man, any woman, Muslim women. Okay. She can, if any man, he can, if her 3 days, 3 nights. According to which religion, you can take a woman to your bed.
That's muta. That's muta.
Okay, but this is not marriage. So muta is not a marriage.
Okay, so then why at the end of the hadith?
So right? Why? I don't care. Listen.
Brother,
first of all, you're a potato. The end of the hadith is not the hadith.
You're lagging. Your potato internet's lagging.
Listen, this is not the hadith. At the end of the hadith,
you're lagging, brother. You're lagging.
Guys, you hear me? Discord.
Fix your connection.
Yeah, people in Discord, do you hear me? Okay.
Even they're saying, yeah, even your chat saying you're lagging.
Right. Okay, hold on a second. All right.
Yeah, now I'm on the stage.
All right.
Solo dolo.
Do you hear me now?
Uh.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now. Yep.
So now listen,
So
listen,
we're in the hadith. Okay, brother, can I ask you one question? It's about the hadith, bro.
Listen carefully.
Oh my God.
So you said to me it's abrogated, but that this is commentary about the hadith. This is not the hadith. You are ignorant. You are ignorant in your religion.
Brother, the hadith at the end, Ali says it's abrogated at the end of the hadith. It literally says it.
This is commentary.
Okay, what was okay?
This is commentary of Abu Abdullah. You are an ignorant. This is not the hadith.
Yeah.
The hadith is here saying, فَمَا أَدْرِي, if this is for all or that's it, and here stop. Then somebody else says, قال أبو عبد الله وبينه علي, blah 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 blah, that this is abrogated.
Yeah, وبين Ali what? Ali what?
Ali عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So they are saying from the Prophet. But look, here,
exactly
what we see.
So what is it referring to that's being canceled?
What I'm referring to that being canceled, no problem, guys. It's being canceled.
What's canceled? What's canceled?
Hold on, abrogated, no problem. But listen, your prophet allow a Muslim woman to if a Muslim man 3 days, 3 nights without marriage.
Okay, but what's abrogated? What's abrogated? Marriage, when it says at the end, what is it referring to that's abrogated?
Without marriage. Explain to us how you can if a Muslim woman without marriage. What do you call that?
Muta.
Without marriage is muta? Okay, so guys, muta is to rent. Exactly what I said to you an hour ago. You said to me, no, it's not renting. So you rent a woman, so it's not marriage. You agreed now that this is muta. Muta I mean in Arabic, sexual joy. So you will pay her to 3 days, 3 nights to if her. She opened her legs, and this is the holy prophet of the holy God Allah allowing Muslim women to open their legs, but they are wearing burqa.
Yes, yeah, it's muta.
Okay, no problem. So
it's muta.
So now you are confirming to us.
It's muta. Are you
listen?
Brother, at the end of the hadith. Okay, at the end of the hadith. What is when it says that it's abrogated? What is it? What's abrogated?
I don't care. Listen, we showed you that it's not true from the other hadith.
Why don't you answer the question? What's abrogated?
We show you that this is not true from the other hadith.
What's abrogated?
Because Umar,
what's abrogated? What's abrogated? What's abrogated?
Umar and Abu Bakr, they practice it themselves. They practice themselves.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Okay,
no, they didn't.
Okay.
Brother, you already showed the hadith where we know they didn't.
Okay, hold on.
How did Omar practice it if he forbade it?
Okay, hold on. Listen.
You idiot.
Listen. Let us see who is the idiot.
At the end of the hadith.
Listen.
Answer my one question.
Listen. Hold on.
Answer my one question.
Guys, hold on. You can continue. No problem. We have having fun. So now,
answer my last question though.
So now what we understand from you that this is not a marriage. This is a muta. Everybody heard you saying that, correct, guys? He said this is not marriage. This is muta. So Islam allow Muslim men and women to F each other without marriage. And that is forbidden by God. You don't claim that you are Abrahamic, and then you say that after Moses and after Jesus, somebody he claimed to follow the God of Abraham, and he allowed Muslim women or a man to sleep with each other without marriage, and you agreed that this is not marriage. How you can follow such a man, wicked man like Muhammad, allowing you to do fornication literally, legally?
It's muta. That's muta. It's abrogated.
No problem. Listen.
What's the argument? Is muta abrogated or no?
You keep repeating the same thing. This is not the question now.
Yeah, but you're not. Okay, can you answer my? I'm asking. I literally have one question.
He keeps saying to me muta. Can you say to me the word muta in English translation?
The word muta, it means it's like pleasure.
Pleasure, sex pleasure, right?
Yeah, muta means it just means the word means pleasure.
Pleasure, sex pleasure.
That's literally what the word means.
When we say pleasure,
no, it doesn't. The muta doesn't mean sex pleasure. It just means pleasure.
No, it means sex pleasure. You are a liar.
No.
Yes, because what do you do with the women when you pleasure her? How you pleasure with her?
Yeah, but I'm saying the actual word muta just means pleasure. But yeah, it's talking about sexual pleasure.
Okay, it's a sexual pleasure. Thank you. So your prophet is allowing you to have sexual pleasure with a Muslim women without marriage, and you agreed.
Yeah, that was at the time. That was muta. Yeah, that was in the Quran.
At that time, what kind of religion is the one allow the Muslim man or the man and the women to do sex together without marriage?
Brother, just like in the Torah, when people can sleep with their sisters, like Abraham.
No,
like, what are you talking about?
Hold on.
Can you do incest? Can you have incest today?
Hold on.
Can you have incest today?
You are a liar.
Can you have incest today?
You are a liar. Show me the
verse. Can you have incest today?
Show me the verse in the Torah says Abraham he slept with his sister.
Is Sarah his sister?
Is she?
It says in the Torah she is.
It says that she is his sister and he slept with her.
Yeah.
You're a prophet.
Genesis 20. Genesis 20.
Just to
Oh, let me
show
read
you.
it out. And
Just to
yet,
show
indeed,
you.
she is my
Okay.
sister. She is the
Hold on.
daughter of my father,
I want you
but
to
not the
show me.
daughter of my
I
mother.
want you
And
to
she
show me
became
the.
my wife.
Okay. I want you to show me the reference.
Is that a sister?
No.
Is that a sister?
Said she is my sister. So I'm
She
asking you.
became my wife in Genesis 20, verse 12.
All right. Listen. Is she
Was that a
his?
sister? Yes or no?
Is she his sister? I say no.
Oh, but he says it. And yet, indeed,
Okay.
she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father,
All
but
right.
not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. So did Abraham sleep with the sister?
Listen, I'm asking you. Do you agree with this verse?
Did Abraham sleep with his sister?
No,
Yes or
he did
no?
not. No, he did not.
Okay. So why in Genesis 20 it says he did?
I want you first to confirm that you agree with this verse and this is the truth. I want you to agree
Hey,
with this
brother,
verse.
come on.
Hold on.
Genesis 20:12.
Hold
Let's read it
on.
out. And
Hold
yet,
on. Hold
indeed,
on.
she is
Hold
my
on.
sister.
Do
Who
you
is
agree?
who is the sister?
I want you to say one
And
thing. Say, I
and she
agree.
became my wife.
Listen,
Okay.
I say to
Oh, but
you,
that's cool, though,
I
right?
ask you, I ask you, did Abraham here was telling the truth when he said, I slept with my sister, or he was lying?
According to you, you believe that Abraham slept with his sister, yeah.
According to you, I'm asking you.
No, I'm according to you, brother.
According to me, no. I answered you already. According to
No.
you,
Okay, so then let's read the verse then. And let's read it again. Genesis 20, verse
according to
12.
me,
And
Abraham,
yet, indeed, she is my sister,
listen.
and she became my wife.
No,
So
she is
did
not.
Abraham marry his?
This is
Did he
what.
marry his wife,
This is
his
what
sister?
he. When he saw the leader, he told him she's my sister. He was afraid that they will take her from him. So this is not his sister. And I'm asking you, according to Islam, did Abraham he lie when he mentioned that she is his sister?
Brother,
I'm
is
asking you.
is
I'm
Abraham
asking you.
saying that's
Answer
his
the
sister?
question.
Yes or no?
I'm asking you. I answered. He is not sleeping with his sister. I'm asking you according to Islam. Did
Yeah, brother,
Abraham?
yeah, brother,
Did
we still see that in
Abraham?
Leviticus
Did
18, and
Abraham?
it's also Leviticus 18, and it's also in Leviticus 18. Let's
I'm,
go to Leviticus 18 next
answering.
then.
I am answering. He saw a leader. He did not tell him the truth because he was afraid. So I'm asking you, according to Islam, did Abraham say, "I slept with my sister"?
No. So let's go
What
back to
if
the
I
verse.
show you
Okay,
what? Hold
brother,
on.
let me go
What
back to
if
the
I
verse.
show?
So was it allowed? Yes,
What if I show you? Yes.
was that allowed?
What if
Was it
I
allowed?
show you? What if
Were you
I
allowed
show?
to marry
Hold
your
on,
half
guys.
siblings?
Did he say?
Were you allowed to marry your half siblings in the
Shut up,
Torah?
guys. He said no.
Were you allowed to
I
marry your half siblings in the Torah? Yes or no?
I said to him, did in Islam did he
Were
marry
you
his sister?
allowed to marry your half siblings in the Torah? Yes or
Listen,
no?
listen. Let me get you busted.
Answer the question.
I
Answer the
answer.
question.
I answer you.
No.
Answer you
Answer the question.
already. This is not about
Answer the
This
question.
is not about stepsister. This is not his sister. I'm asking you. According to
Answer the
Islam.
question.
According to Islam, you said to me, no. I said to you, did Abraham lie? And he said, this is my sister. You said, according to Islam, no. Can you repeat that lie again?
Wait, say it again.
According to Islam, I ask you, and you answer already. Did Abraham say he did marry his sister?
In the Quran, does it say that he married his sister? No, it doesn't say that in the Quran.
I did not say in the Quran. I said according to Islam.
And there's a hadith where it talks about it. It doesn't say he's a sister. No, it says that's my sister in faith in Sahih Bukhari.
Let me show you that you are a liar and you have to apologize.
Nope.
You have to apologize. Read. Here we go. What is
Read
the
it.
three lies? What is the three lies Abraham he said? Answer, according to your prophet. He said that his wife, number three, he went with his wife Sarah to Egypt. And then when he met with the king,
Drop the hadith. Drop the
I will
hadith.
give you
Where's the
the
hadith at?
hadith. I will give you the hadith. No problem. Just
Okay,
wait.
drop it.
Hold on. Hold on. He said, she is my sister. This is the same story from the Bible, you idiot. So you are making fun of the story in the Bible because you are ignorant, but yet your prophet is copying exactly the same story. And he is saying he is lying. But according to you, you confirm that he slept with his sister. So which one we should believe? You're a prophet or you? Answer. Hello? Is he talking? Don't play dead. Hmm? What happened? Guys, is he talking? He left? Potato, where you go? Are you searching Google? Are you searching Google? You are talking to Christian friends, Potato? Here we go. This is Abraham saying she is my sister. About who? Sarah, his wife. Read it, Potato. Mut'a boy. And this is Sahih al-Bukhari 3358. The coward he ran. Run, 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 run. Potato. I'm your master. This is your stupid prophet. Who is Sarah? My sister. Hmm? Huh? Hmm. Abdul. But it was nice that he agreed and he admitted that the Muslims, they don't perform marriage when they do mut'ah, they are just effing each other. Because this is an effing prophet and their God is an effing God, so they if each other. Shame on you to run. Shame. Hmm. Who's next? Abraham, he has sex with his sister. Abraham, it's his stepsister. And as you see, this is Muhammad talking, and this is authentic al-Bukhari. Hmm. I have told him, Sarah, my wife, I have told them, you are my sister. So don't contradict my statement, okay? If they ask you, tell them you are my sister. Who's saying that? Muhammad himself. Potato. And the funny, they claim that they speak Arabic. He tried to sound like he knew Arabic, but the second I insist for him to read, he did not know a single Arabic word. Did we have fun? Yeah, you have to drag the Muslim until he dig his own hole, and then he is going to be in a hole. We cannot give it a name. That's why we call it a hole, because it's a hole he created himself. Potato. What kind of religion? This is a religion. You can. I said you rent women. She said no, this is not rent. So what do? You pay her money to sleep with you. It's called mut'a. What mut'a mean? Pleasure. Okay, pleasure of what? Effing. This is religion of God. And those Muslim women wear burqa, but they if you for little money. What a holy religion. Holy shit. Anyone want to be next victim? Hmm? Hmm. All right. I hope we have a good time. It's already morning for me here. It is 6:33 a.m. It is 10:33, 11:33 in your time. I mean, most of you. So I hope we have a good time. Feel free to download the video. And this is how we do it. This is how we do it. Muslims, if you think ever you can play with me, come and do it. And we will have a very nice match. But I guarantee you, you will leave with no teeth. You will speak like Zakir Naik at the end of the debate. Get some friends. First of all, I didn't expose you. I did not lose my teeth. This is the way I speak. Zakir Naik, you lost your teeth. This is why you keep spitting all over the place. Get some friends. First of all, it's very clear. What children? What are you talking about? I mean, you start speaking like this after you spoke to me. Get some friends. First of all, I never spoke to you. You did. I never put the swear by Allah. When I went to the live of Zakir Naik, I challenged him to debate me. He looked at the chat. He have heart attack. You should see his face. He could not even speak. He stopped talking. You know? What a bunch of potatoes. I'm your nightmare. And my Lord will send you to hell if you don't repent. So I hope today we have a good time and we learn something and we are taking reference and we are always victorious in his name, not in our name. We are always victorious by the living Messiah over the dead Muhammad. We are followers of the Messiah, the God of holiness, not the one who command you and command your women to open their legs for money. And he F them too. And he command them to give their breast to strangers. And he claimed he command you to wear hijab, decent Muslim women, but underneath of the sheet is shit. Very wicked people. We cover ourselves, but we show our butt. We cover our hair, but we open our vagina. We cover our head, but we give you my nipples. What a stupid cult. And then, oh, it was halal at that time. It's forbidden now. Why he forbid what is forbidden anyway? Why he allow what is forbidden anyway? Why and how a person he claimed to be sent by the God of Abraham, he permit fornication? Permit it and forbid it, permit it and forbid it, permit it and forbid it. Is that a joke? Well, yes. Muhammad is a joke. And he is my comedy. And I will see you soon again. May the Lord bless you. And always remember that God is good. And we are the crusade. And God is good. So is Jesus. See ya.